Welcome to the first episode of the Luke and Sotiri Podcast. I'm here with my co-host Luke. Luke, say hi.
Hey guys, it's me, Luke.
And
Um,
sorry.
we're just here. This is a laid back podcast where we're just gonna talk about whatever's on our minds, and it'll be a lot of fun for us. Hopefully, it's fun for you guys too.
I'm your second co-host, Sotiri, and glad to have you here today, Luke.
So, what do we think is our first round of business to discuss, Sotiri?
Well, let's so something interesting happened the other day to me, and I've heard like stories about it, and that's happening to other people.
Yeah, what's been happening?
So, pretty much, lately, I didn't know this existed actually, but what happened is I was at school, and all of a sudden there was like this little, looked like a tornado looking thing, and it started forming on the campus, and I was like, oh wow, something's happening. And so one of my friends, who's kind of dumb, but he decided to run in through it, and like sand and all this stuff, that like debris that was getting picked up by this little tornado looking thing, like got in his eyes and everything. And I found out that this is way more common than I thought. I've never seen this in my life, but it was pretty interesting because it was like a tiny tornado. It was so like interesting.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen those happen many a time, and they're interesting. Yeah, I'll just see. I remember on my middle school, I'd just see like leaves on the ground get spun around, and it's like, oh no, it's a tornado. Oh, panic.
Yeah, and then some of my other not so smart friends decided to run through it too, and then they also had the same result. So that was funny. So speaking of seeing stuff, Apple Vision is crazy.
What's Apple Vision?
Brief context for the viewers. Luke
I
knows
I don't
nothing
know anything.
about pop culture. He knows boats though. So
Yes, I know boats.
let
If
me
you ever need to ask me what a promenade deck is, I'll always be here for you.
can you see my screen? Hopefully it's working this time.
No, it's still broken.
Darn. Well, let me try rejoining the call really quickly. Alright. Let me try now. Is it working?
No, it's still broken.
Darn. Maybe it's because I have OBS open.
Could
But
be.
anyway, so Apple Vision is this. Oh, sorry, I left the call on accident. But Apple Vision is this cool augmented reality headset, and I'm surprised you haven't heard of it because it's everywhere. But it's really advanced, really cool. And I went to the Apple Store recently and saw it in person, and man, I haven't like done a demo or anything, but it's a nice piece of technology. I mean, it's something else. Like future's here.
Like, well, future's here.
Yeah, it's like total like Ready Player One style.
Is that just that I don't have to say about it? Just the future is here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's scary how like how cool. Or at least I haven't tried it for myself, but one of my friends tried it, and he said what I've seen in every video. It's like it's like looking through your eyes if you like had a little bit like of like blur in your eyes, like if you were just a little bit like your vision wasn't too like amazing. But it's he said it's like something else. It feels like everything's actually in the room with you rather than like these other headsets which just like kind of like odd, like don't make it feel as if, you know what I mean, like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's way more
Yeah, I know
realistic
what you mean.
before you know that it's playing tricks on you. Where this one, he said, and I quote, that it fools your brain so well that you feel like it's actually there. So
Wow.
so it's something else. That's It's crazy. Anything.
So, I mean, technology has been going far. I mean, we've seen all sorts of AI stuff. We got ChatGPT, we got AI generated images.
AI generated images, yes, definitely. Like this is
It,
a
Think
whole
about them. You can very clearly tell when something's AI generated if you just look at any picture. I
exactly.
mean, sometimes I'll just see videos in my YouTube recommended where the thumbnail is very obviously AI generated. So that's always funny to see those.
But
They just look so awful.
you know what the crazy thing to think about though is that this is AI will only get better from here.
That is true.
That's the crazy thing. It's not gonna get any worse. It's only gonna get. This is only the beginning of AI. And if it's already doing what it does now, sure you could obviously tell
That's a
still.
scary thought, knowing that this is just the beginning.
Exactly, and that's like when I saw the Apple Vision Pro and how it already fools your brain. Imagine what this technology is gonna be like a decade from now, 2 decades from now, and a century from now. So
It's
that's crazy,
yeah,
scary,
that's how technology goes, always advancing. I mean, because like
always.
I guess if you think even people from the past, if they saw the technology we have today, they'd also be just blown away. Like, what? You guys can contact with someone across the planet instantly?
Oh
Dude,
my,
I have to send a letter and it takes months.
oh my God! Imagine if you showed just someone from like 3 decades ago an iPhone.
That I
They would have
Okay, three
mental
decades
breakdown.
ago, I think that's slightly pushing it.
Like even 2 decades ago, it'd still be incredible because think about what they had, their standards. Right now, we have this gorgeous full screen telephone that has all this cellular capabilities. You could do anything on it. It's more powerful than desktops from 10 years ago, and
Well,
it's
yeah,
in
obviously.
it fits in your pocket. You got these incredible cameras that are photography level. I mean,
Okay, I don't know if I'd call them incredible, but
depends which phones you get, but still, it's amazing how in this just last decade how much technology has advanced.
and it just gets even faster because our new technology makes us able to make more technology, which lets us make even more, and it's a vicious cycle.
Exactly, it's a
Technology
paradox.
keeps coming,
But
but,
have you
and then
have
that
yeah,
then that just leads to all the arguments about like, oh no, AI is going to take over the world. It's going to be the apocalypse.
yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, they do have some merit. It is a little freaky what AI can do these days.
If AI ever does somehow become conscious, which I highly doubt, it's just gonna be.
Oh
But
yeah,
if
it's
it,
not going to become conscious.
but by some miracle, by God, it becomes conscious. We're gonna have to explain to it why, like in every Terminator movie, depict it as being like the super evil, ruthless machinery. We're gonna have to explain. Oh yeah, this is
Sotiri,
yeah.
what's Terminator?
Guys, bear with me. It's a movie with an actor that I can't say the name of because I'll probably get canceled if I say his full name. But let's just say
Why?
his name starts with Arnold. But what happens is pretty much this AI called Skynet takes over the world, and this kid
Oh, that's where the Skynet comes from?
yes, Terminator.
Ah, I see.
And then every movie, every sequel got progressively worse. Not the AI, just the quality, like the scripting got
What's
worse.
new?
What do you mean?
Sequels gain worse.
Like first, like it had a good base story. Second one is like okay, it's just it's repetitive. Is if I could put it that way, it's repetitive. It's just the same thing. Okay, the AI got more stronger. or sorry, not more stronger. The AI got stronger and is trying to hunt down whoever's trying to stop it. And then the good guy ends up winning. In the next movie, oh no, the AI is even stronger now. And then they still end up winning, the good guys. And then the next movie, oh no, you're definitely not going to defeat us this time. And it's still stronger. And then the good guy still wins. And then it's just repetitive.
Okay. You know, one movie that did actually have a good sequel is surprisingly Frozen 2.
Frozen
It's
2, yes.
Yeah, it was like because it feels natural how the story continues. It's not forced or anything. It's just oh yeah, there's like this new evil threat that we have to oppose that we didn't notice before, and like that, like the end of the first movie still kind of feels like a narrative midpoint because like there's a bunch of new stuff that happens on the new one, like they got a flashback of how their parents died and stuff, and it's actually really good, at least for sequel standards.
Exactly.
It's,
Like, it doesn't feel like the same story over again. It feels like a next chapter in their life. Feels like it's like a documentary.
yeah, I mean, I saw this video on YouTube that explains why sequels can be hard to do because you basically have three options for the plot of the new sequel. Either bring back the old threat, bring back something that's similar to the old threat but a little different, or just make a completely new threat. And none of those options are really good.
Yeah,
Like, the first two can feel lazy, and the second one can, or the third one can feel like it's a completely different story. So it's just hard to do a sequel or anything.
exactly. For this next part, I just want to say viewer discretion advised. This podcast is gonna be our personal opinions, so we are not.
Yes, we
We aren't
please don't be offended by anything we say.
exactly. This is our opinions. We don't want this to be. We're not trying to push this on anybody. We're simply just saying what we believe, and we're not trying to force you to join along with us. We're just trying to get it out there. But
Yep.
there's
Okay,
been
so what's your controversial thing you want to talk
there's
about?
been headlines that because
Oh,
you know how
oh no.
Disney's been like adding like more LGBTQ like
Yes,
content to their like content.
I'm way too aware of that.
Yes, like Lightyear was a big flop because of that.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on Lightyear.
Yeah, but there's a rumor that Frozen 3 might have
There's a Frozen 3?
yeah, they're going to make a Frozen 3 that Elsa's going to be lesbian.
Uh, is that really necessary?
I know.
Who's she even gonna do it with?
I don't know.
Well, Anna already has Kristoff.
That's his that's her sister. So like but
Yeah,
but it's like I get it that I fully I wouldn't say support, but I fully understand you wanting to be inclusive of like these minorities. But at this point, it feels less that you're trying to be inclusive and more trying to like force their opinions
yeah,
onto
it just
us.
feels so forced. Like it'd be like a nice thing if they just dropped it into a few movies. Then that'd be nice, but I feel like they're doing it way too often right
Ex-
now.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. I don't. I could understand like if you want to be a good business, you got to include the minority because people are gonna start getting mad, and it's gonna be a whole rabbit hole of problems. But it's different to include than force. So
It definitely is.
yeah, that's the issue that I'm having with these guys.
You know, the other issue with Disney's having that's a little less controversial is making all their characters adorkables. Have you heard that term before?
No.
Basically means that all the characters are, or like the main character is kind of a goofball, They like to joke around and they're clumsy. That's
Uh,
basically what an adorkable is.
oh, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah, and they're saying that Disney is doing that too much, which I kind of agree with. I mean, we saw it with movies like Encanto. I mean, it started off with Tangled, I think, and then it
Yeah.
was in Encanto, and now they've put it in their infamous Wish.
Wish is one of them.
Yeah, Wish's main character is an adorkable.
I did not know that.
Oh,
Huh.
you learn something new every day.
I haven't watched Wish, to be honest. I I
Yeah, nor have I.
I don't think it's like that good of. At least what I've seen from the trailer. I don't think it's a
It's
good movie.
definitely not good. Dude, that movie spreads like a toxic message. Like,
It
I'm not going to
does.
go into too much detail here, but basically, the whole premise of the movie is there's this guy on who rules over this island and he grants people's wishes, but only if he thinks they're a good wish. And he's like the main villain
Mm.
because the main character's grandfather or father, I don't remember, made a wish that the leader decided wasn't good. And I don't
Oh
remember
wow.
what the wish was. It was something that was like kind of naive, like I wish everyone could always have their wishes granted. And the leader of the island makes some good points, like, well, what if people have bad, like other people have bad wishes? And then, like, that's naive.
Huh.
But the main character is like, no, you're a bad guy. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that's a bit odd. Oh. Okay. This is gonna be very controversial to people, but like I said, viewer discretion advised. We highly do not recommend pushing these opinions onto you. We are simply just saying what we believe. We do not want you to believe the same as we do. We are perfectly
Yes, and
fine with
yes, don't feel pressured to believe what we believe.
yes,
It's
we're
fine.
perfectly fine with you having your own opinion. That's great. That's what makes the world
Go
have
round.
change, yeah, and go round. But we are simply stating what we want to say. To be honest, the new I think it's Snow White. Yeah, it's Snow White. The main character is gonna be a black actress. Now, nothing against black people. I
Yeah.
think I think including black people is amazing. But that's a bit of a stretch. And then the nail in the coffin is that what they also say is that they're going to change the topic or how the script goes. Instead of this girl tr-
That
instead of this girl
that can't
trying
be
to
good.
yeah, instead of this girl trying to go get rescued by this guy, instead they're trying to push that women are going to be more independent, which again I think is amazing. But the fact is that this is a movie written in the 19 or a story written in early 1900s. So the mentality back then was way different. But what the new script is going to be, instead of this girl trying to get saved by this guy, instead she's going to try to be independent and try to get a career and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, that's just basically changing up everything.
Exactly. And I have
That's the thing. They're
I have no
like
oh sorry.
all these woke people are just living in this sort of la la land idea that everyone's everyone's like us. They're all I don't know politically correct like them. Women can be strong, represent minorities, blah blah blah. And which I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like just thinking like that, but it's getting so
Out of hand.
forced down our throats right now that it's ridiculous.
I have nothing against. I'm sure if there was a movie about a passionate black woman that is finding a career and is just some movie, let's just say it's called Having Life or something like that, I would probably definitely watch that. But the fact that it is a movie like Snow White and it's completely changing it, you got to understand that when this movie was written, women were seen as housewives, and even the story says her skin was white as snow. So the
Yeah, what are
fact
they gonna
is,
say now?
the fact is I fully support women independency. I fully support black the black community, everything. I just don't like them changing these old stories because they were written like that for a reason. If you're gonna make this practically completely different story, then make a completely different movie or come up with some sort of original idea.
Yeah, and I think that's also kind of harmful to try and change up these past stories to match the current worldview because, I mean, it's still fascinating to look at the cultures of the past, even if we don't agree with them. If we do agree with them, then great, we can learn about their beautiful culture. If we don't agree with them, that's still fine because then we can learn from our past mistakes and get better. But now
Exactly.
we're just trying to get this, we're just being fed the stream of constantly, for all of history, us having this modern mentality of social stuff, which just, that's not how it was. What happened to the past cultures? That's fine if you don't agree with them, but at least like acknowledge that they existed. Don't turn this into like 1984 where everyone thinks the same or is just told that everyone always thought the same.
Exactly. Great book, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really good book. I mean,
It's amazing.
there was one little aspect that I'm not going to talk about that made me kind
Uh,
of
I
not like it as much,
I
but
know what you're thinking about, but
yeah, Satira, you probably know what I'm thinking about. Maybe that can be another podcast.
yeah, that's a topic for the another podcast. Don't worry, guys. We're not going anywhere. We're just trying to fire off some like enticing topics for our first podcast.
Yeah, 1984 is like an edgy sidekick. Brave New World.
Exactly.
Brave New World is like, I mean, okay, at its core, it's spreading a really good message. Like, people are just being lazy and they're being like scientifically manipulated. It's like, which deep down inside, it's a really good message, but some parts of the book are just so funny, it's hard to take it seriously. Like
Exactly.
everyone worships Henry Ford. Do the sign of the T. Totally not ripped off the sign of the cross.
Dude, I know.
Alpha, and then like the alphas and the betas and the sigmas, or I
Oh
don't even
God.
think there are sigmas. It just, it's so, like, it's a good message, but you just can't take it seriously. And then, of course, how could I forget Soma, the drug that everyone takes? The, like, oh, you're feeling upset, have some Soma. It's uh that I've not actually read the book, but I've heard a lot about it, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
kind of a joke.
To say the least.
Yeah, it's if you haven't read it, you should definitely read it. It's funny.
Have you?
I no, I wish when they made the movie adaptation because of like all that stupid stuff that happened in the book, they turned it into like kind of a comedy. That would have been kind of cool.
Oh, Luke,
Because like,
I sent you a message on Discord. Really quickly.
yeah,
All right, all
all
right.
right,
So, in just a second, folks, we're gonna have, or in just a minute, we're gonna have an intermission. But let's discuss one thing before the quick break.
yeah. Don't worry, Satira wasn't saying me anything suspicious. He just wants an intercession.
Yeah. So, oh, this is gonna be a kicker. I'm just so good at talking about controversial topics. I'm kind of like nervous because I'm like, I don't know, but
Don't worry, it's fine.
pretty much what I gotta say is that they're trying in certain states. They're trying to remove slavery from history books. I'm not even kidding.
Why?
Because they're ashamed of like our history and us like enslaving black people.
What happened to learning from mistakes?
I know, right? It's I don't know. It's interesting to say the least, but it's just so annoying because history is supposed to be this unfiltered,
Yeah,
this
it's
is what
supposed to be
happens.
unbiased. This is what happened. Don't censor it.
Exactly. And I think that's becoming more of like an issue because people are starting to get more like embarrassed and everything. But I don't think people understand that's our past. We moved on from that.
Yeah, we get over it, people.
That's
That was like 150 years ago.
and it's so crazy because like you'll go onto some websites and there'll be like people, hardcore people, like yeah, let's completely get rid of it, and it's so like aggravating because I could see what they're thinking, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I could see their point of view, but they gotta understand that that's the past. Past
It is.
the past.
And like, there's always that saying: "Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it."
Exactly.
If we're gonna censor slavery, then something weird's gonna pop up.
Doomed to happen again.
And
anyway, so we are going to have a quick intermission right now. So thank you viewers, and we will be back in just a second.
alright, well. This is a solo podcast now. I'm not sure if Sotiri is still recording. If he is, then you're watching this right now. We're probably going to talk about something slightly less controversial, hopefully. Because this is our first video. Let's not immediately destroy our reputation. Like, immediately, we're just going to have a video essay on YouTube, like, the Luke and Sotiri Podcast exposed. Racist, homophobic, reactionary, and... oh no, what if... I know, we didn't really have a plan when starting this podcast. We're just like, hey, let's start. We talk about stuff all the time to ourselves. Why don't we start a podcast? And now here we are. We've started up our podcast, and it's fun. Don't know how successful it'll be, but it's here. I don't know why I said that with a slight Italian accent. It's a here. It's a me, Mario. Yeah, that's true. I don't know anything about pop culture. But Sotiri will just be like, hey, who's that so-and-so? And I'll be like, I don't know. And he'll be like, bro, Luke, how do you not know this? This is so obvious. What is wrong with you? Do you live under a rock? And I kind of do, because I don't really care about who whatever celebrity is. There are more important things in life, like boats. I like boats. I hear something is Sotiri returning. He's typing. 10 seconds. Quick, I gotta say something in 10 seconds. Boats are cool. Don't listen to anything Sotiri says otherwise. And don't worry about pop culture or stuff. Just focus on what you're really interested in. Unless that thing you're really interested in is pop culture, in which case that's great. Good job, Bill Timmy.
All right.
Yeah.
And we are back. Thank you, Luke, for whatever you said. I also had background music playing. Editor me, thanks for editing that in. And
wow, we're talking to your future self.
Yes, I'm talking to future me.
Hey, future me. Am I doing a good job?
Just wondering.
Thanks.
he just. What if he says no?
Anyway, what should we talk about next? Something less controversial, hopefully.
I don't know. I'm gonna look up news. I guess.
Did you hear? This is also a little controversial, but Ukraine just had a massive defeat in the war.
Who?
Ukraine.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, in this town like Adivika or something like that. A big Ukrainian army got like encircled by the Russians and got obliterated, apparently.
Wow.
And it's like a big Russian victory. It was like a bunch of people saw it coming as well. Like on the internet, there were people predicting, dude, Ukraine needs to retreat or they'll get encircled. Like, this isn't even the first time this has happened. It happened with another town, Bakhmut,
Oh wow.
where like pretty much the same thing happened. Ukrainian army got encircled and annihilated.
Wow, I did not know that.
But yeah, Ukraine is. I highly doubt Ukraine can win this war at this point. They've just
Kind of
lost
delayed
so.
it.
They've lost so much. And the other thing is they've recently changed up tactics. They're basically doing the Soviet strategy of throw a bunch of men at the front line and pray that it goes well. And I mean, the Soviets were able to do that because they basically had infinite manpower. But
Exactly.
Ukraine doesn't have infinite manpower. And this new tactic is just going to drain the few soldiers they have left. And they'll probably collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe not collapse, but they're going to lose, is what I'm
lose.
saying.
Yeah.
And it was almost kind of, it was like, at the start of the war, everyone was like, oh, Ukraine's going to instantly get demolished by Russia. And then we were like, oh, wow, Ukraine's surviving. This is incredible. Zelensky is amazing. And now here we are, like, yeah, Ukraine's going to lose.
Darn.
It's been.
Well, to be honest,
for the.
I was rooting for Ukraine.
Okay, well, I mean, here's the thing you need to understand. Russia is
Powerful.
struggling. They have.
Struggling.
Yeah, they're losing population. I know I just said they have unlimited manpower, but that's not really true. At least not anymore. Because
Yeah.
the World War II destroyed so much of their population that now they're just not recovering from it, and their population's been stagnating like
Exactly.
forever.
Also, guys, if you ever want to
And-
know politics, go to Luke, because he'll tell you it, and he'll try to tell you it in a diplomatic form, so it'll never be like one-sided. So that's one good thing
Yeah.
about Luke. He'll never he'll say it from both point of views.
Yeah, the thing is, Russia is like, there's one guy who explained it way better than I ever could, but basically Russia's running out of population, and this war in Ukraine is like their last-ditch attempt to try and expand a little bit and survive.
Yeah.
So if Russia screws up and loses this war, then it could be the beginning of the end for Russian hegemony in Eurasia. Like, they could just collapse into another really small population country that's just going to be like at the mercy of great powers.
So either way, it's a lose-lose.
Well, not really. If they win, then they'll probably just have to swallow their pride and admit that they're not going to be the greatest nation on earth.
Yeah.
But they will survive at least.
Yeah.
Which I honestly hope they do. I don't want to see the largest nation on earth fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion at least, I don't think Russia is like the best people, but I think they definitely help the world in a lot of ways. Even
They definitely have.
yeah. I don't think they're the most fairest people, but I think they have done good things for this world that is really important, and if we lose them, it's going to be a major blow.
Yeah, the world is not going to be stable if an entire civilization collapses.
Exactly.
I mean, if you think the collapse of Russia will be bad, wait till China collapses because they're also losing
The
population.
moment China collapses, then it's game over. Do you know all the production and all that that's gonna come to a halt?
Yeah, we're just gonna have to be forced to move to some other markets like Mexico
Vietnam
or India or something.
or Brazil.
Yeah, we're gonna need a new alternative, and it's gonna be total chaos, and there's probably gonna be like several 100 million deaths in China
And then
once
we're
the
all
Civil
gonna
War
die,
happens.
and then nukes are gonna go. Okay. And then there's gonna
Hey,
be. I got a topic. It's not. It's way off from this topic, but it's a bit ridiculous. Unless you want to continue on with this topic.
I know, let's change it up.
Um, Wendy's is under fire because according to them, they're using this new AI, which pretty much during um more like how would I say this, hours that are more active at Wendy's, and their prices will automatically go up for their food. It's so ridiculous.
That's
This
sneaky.
this AI is gonna pretty much have these digital. You know how like when you go to McDonald's, you'll see those digital screens. Instead, they'll be constantly
Yeah.
updating. So more active hours, the prices on the screens for stuff will be more expensive. Then less active hours, the prices will go back to normal. It's so ridiculous, and it's just,
Ouch. Couple more minutes. Okay.
I think we lost Luke for a second. I think he's talking to someone. But to all the
No,
viewers,
I've been here.
are you able to continue
I've
on
been
for a
here.
while?
I've, I never left.
Yeah, I know, but you muted, so.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, actually.
Yes, I was never muted.
Oh, my internet connection must have dwindled again. Anyway, so yeah, but that's that's insane what Wendy's doing. Like,
That
it's scummy. Scummy to say the least. I mean, it's a smart move. I'll give it to them. It's a smart move,
it's definitely a smart move.
but it's not good for us the consumer. So, also guys, really quickly, this won't be a conversation really cuz I don't think Luke knows much about electronics, but Nvidia recently became one of the three big boys. Became now the third $2 trillion company, which is now next to Apple and Microsoft. Woo! Okay, back to the podcast. But yeah, economy is doing. I wouldn't say well, but they're doing. They're not the greatest, but Nvidia is doing great. There's some.
Well, I mean, I don't really understand that, but
Oh, leap year! Leap year is tomorrow. Leap year day is tomorrow. At the time of recording this, at least, you're probably seeing this either on leap year, or if you come here late, which is since it's the first episode, you're probably gonna see this way later than it's published.
yeah.
It already happened, but right now it is currently about 3 hours away from leap year day. Leap year's
Yeah, and
day.
I have to go to bed soon.
Woo.
Because I have school tomorrow.
Same here. We're both in school. Stay in school, kids. Makes you better at PvP.
And I'm not that Technoblade clip.
I had to. It's the most iconic clip ever.
Should we make Technoblade the final thing we talk about before wrapping up here?
Sure. I get. Actually, what do we have to talk about with him?
I mean, that's a non-controversial thing to talk about, so...
True. Technoblade. Great person. He was.
He was.
Yeah.
I love his dry sense of humor.
Exactly.
Like, constant optimism, like, yeah, I've got cancer, everything's fine.
Exactly. He was a great person. I think it was because of that like optimism and sense of humor that made him so popular.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got a little inspired by his just unyielding optimism, and I take that into my own personality. That I'm just overly optimistic these days.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
like, oh yeah, I'm 10 minutes late to school, and it'll be fine. So,
yeah.
I mean, the one thing that's kind of sad about Technoblade is, well, actually, two things. Actually, no, I'll just talk about one. It's less controversial. People like will make fun of you, like, "Oh, you watch Technoblade? Hi, I bet you have no life." Which, okay, fair. A lot of people are like that, but that's not
Um.
everyone.
So I had an old YouTube channel. I don't want this to be associated with my old YouTube channel anyway, so I'll not be disclosing it. But what happens is I made a video that was like, oh, I miss Technoblade, blah blah blah. And what happened was is oh man, did I get bullied so hard for making that video at school?
Well,
Because like everyone's like like because I was like genuinely sad in that like video. I wasn't like crying sad because this was like a couple days after, but I was like pretty sad about it in the video. I was like, oh, this is terrible thing that happened. Really had an impact on myself. Really had an impact on the community. But like, oh man, it's like some people are just like so stuck up. They're like just they'll be
they really are.
yeah, they'll be total like jerks just to like seem cool, which I don't know. It's just kind of jacked up. Like it's kind of like they're putting it on his name, and he's dead. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's
one thing I've learned is to just not care what people think about me
yeah,
and just do what I want.
yeah. I mean, you
'Cause that-
gotta care sometimes, like especially
'cause people are kind of suck.
yeah. I mean, the only real people I care about, like that like I care what they think of me, is like this handful of like people that I like really care to lose. That's like my mom and dad, and like
The only
my
I people
close
care I
friends.
care about are my friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. Like I not even a lot of my friends. Like I'm willing to break bonds with a lot of friends, but there's like a handful that like I'd be genuinely like sad if I'd be sad if any of my friends got like didn't want to be friends with me anymore. But I'd be like, there's a handful where I'd be like genuinely like fighting to like not lose them as a friend. You're one of them, Luke. So
Thank you.
yeah. So that's like I don't know. That's a sad way to end off the podcast, but just know, kids, and everyone watching this, if it ever
Don't
gets
care about what people think of you.
exactly care, but don't care about everyone. Only care about the people you care about. If that makes
That
sense.
yes, yeah, that's a good lesson to take away from this.
Exactly.
That's a nice way to end off this podcast. Any last things to say, Sotiri?
Nope. But thank you all for watching. I'm your co-host Sotiri. It's
Am I the
co-host.
official host now?
You're yeah sure.
Yay!
You want to end us off?
Um, yep. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Luke. Be happy, be nice to each other. Don't care about what others think of you, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
See ya.